Hey guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but I really like comics, and one of my favorites so far has absolutely been Mike Mignola's masterpiece, Hellboy. The indie comic published by Dark Horse originally came out in 1998 and would quickly see great success in culture for its compelling story and even better art style. Hellboy would quickly solidify himself in pop culture in 2004 when the movie Hellboy was released, which was directed by Guillermo del Toro. Hellboy in itself is a love letter to Lovecraft and general myth and legends throughout the world. And it transforms into a fable of fate and how it defines somebody. And I by no means want to spoil the whole story for you, just know that Hellboy is a good read. And I know what you guys are thinking. Hellboy had a movie, a comic book. What's the last final step in this triathlon? Well, video games. And for as big as Hellboy was back then, he never really completed the full media circuit. I mean, we have literature, we have a movie, but we never really had a good game adaptation before. And a brief history of Hellboy games will see that there have been 2 previous games released. Hellboy's first plunge into video games was known as Hellboy Asylum Seeker.
By Jove, are you perhaps alluding to the infamous digital leisure activity, often involving an interactive electronic display and the use of a controller to manipulate on-screen character Hellboy and Hounds fixed at Twilight?
A 3D adventure game released in the 2000s for the PC, then later ported over to the PlayStation in 2003? In one word, it stinks. The second ever and only Hellboy game up to this point will be Hellboy: The Science of Evil. It was released in 2008 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox at the time, and it was actually tied to the Hellboy movies. It's a beat-em-up style of game. Since then, Hellboy hasn't really had that much video game appearances, only appearing in Injustice 2 and Brawlhalla as DLC. That begs the question, why haven't there been a good Hellboy game to stand atop the likes of the comic and the film? Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at Hellboy Web of Wryd. It was released on October 18th, 2023, released on all platforms. And as always, I picked up and played it on the Nintendo Switch. And this collector's edition comes to you by Good Shepherd Games. I bought this with my own money and decided to get it and play the game. The neat little edition comes with a physical game and super cool art book. It comes with concept art and other graphics made primarily by series author Mignola. I especially enjoy the new art made for the box. Isn't he funny? All that aside, I was particularly excited to play this game due to my passionate love of Hellboy, and also generally just being an avid video game player. However, while Hellboy has never looked this good in a video game before, I have to say that my experience was ultimately soured due to the Switch port's absolute backwards optimization. I've completed about 70-ish% of the game before my Switch outright just crashes. My total crash count was 7.
Really don't like the way this is going.
Hellboy, the main character, apart from his old reliable named the Good Samaritan, has various other tools to help him, including charms that offer different experiences and ways to tackle encounters. He also has access to different types of weaponry, such as a shotgun or grenade launcher. While I enjoy the inclusion of what is unique enough in terms of use to foster different playstyles, for me, my primary loadout was the shotgun and attack charm respectively. Very close and aggressive style to get rid of enemies just as quickly as they spawn in. The best thing about the game is that it looks great. Something that makes Hellboy stand out amongst the rest of the comic consciousness is Mike Mignola's distinct style that surrounds the entire universe in a veil of darkness. His shadows are dominant. In the books, we rarely see Hellboy completely lit up, in fact. And the game took from Mignola's style pretty closely and effectively. The game is cel-shaded, and the effect shifts appropriately to the movement of the camera. Constantly, I felt as if I was seeing pages of Hellboy in motion while playing the game. Just looks fantastic. Best looking Hellboy dare I say. And throughout every run, you encounter various upgrades that augment Hellboy and his various utilities. The issue, however, is that there are too few of them. Only a handful of them exist in the game, and you can encounter each variation of upgrade in one run sometimes. However, my bigger concern is that once you upgrade something, you seemingly can't upgrade the tool again, only if you find another one of that exact same upgrade to increase that effect. So no double dipping here. What it effectively does is it locks and hard limits your options. It doesn't allow you to transfer upgrades either, so once you choose one, make sure it counts, unless you want to throw it away and start from scratch again. Something that I really did enjoy about the gameplay is the true exploration aspect of it. Because you see, once you're in the Wyrd, you have no map and are left to basically wander around rooms until you find the next step forward. This is great primarily due to the open nature of the dungeon. It allows for a lot of backtracking and player choice of events. If you encounter a locked door in the beginning, but find a key later on, you could choose to either hold on to it for the next level, or choose to backtrack and open that previously locked door. Admittedly, sometimes I got lost within the Wyrd because I didn't keep track of where I was going and went in circles before finding an unexplored area to continue. And I really enjoyed this somewhat. The only guide the game offers you is lights on doorways and symbols on doors that tell you where the path leads. Red, for example, is heart to boost your health, while upgrades are white and pink skulls are the bosses. Here's a quick tip that I learned through playing the game. You could effectively backtrack and know which way you've gone when you notice that each door you encounter always opens away from you. Okay, look, I have to level with you guys. I know I just said how much I like the exploration aspect of this game. However, you could only enjoy running around the Wyrd for so long. If you could see by the gameplay in front of you, it just isn't that interesting. Between fighting rooms, there are just empty hallways that get boring to traverse through again and again and again, and especially for a roguelike like this game, you're gonna want something interesting to spruce it up a bit. But watch out! Be careful for traps! Oh. You can just walk around them. These traps are more like obstacles to see if you're paying attention. You could easily replace them with rocks and I wouldn't notice the difference. Oh god, and talk about monotony. Each level is distinct only by the color that they are associated with. You got such levels such as the Forgotten City, which runs the same. Big rooms separated by hallways. You have a railway station. Oh, what's this about? Could this be... Oh, no, it's the same. Oh, how about the sinking city? Oh, it's just blue. You see what I mean? Like, there isn't a lot of variety in gameplay, and thus it gets very repetitive and super duper boring after a while. That makes it a slog to go through. And above all else, the game simply runs like hell. The worst thing about the game is that it is a game. The actual game in question is a roguelike, where a series of randomly generated rooms are strung up, and the player goes through the rooms, clearing them out, gaining various power-ups on the way. However, where Hellboy is faltered is that the rooms available aren't diverse. From my understanding, there is an underwhelming amount of diverse content. Each area has the same 3 types of enemies to take down. Your big bruisers, the skinnier ones, and the ranged ones. That is to say that they all operate the same, and the only thing keeping them apart is, well, the designs that you are in, which in itself don't offer much variety. Separate from these big guys are, well, the Goon Squad, your little henchmen, which don't even matter, frankly. To clear out a room, you are tasked with only defeating the big guys, and the Goon Squad afterwards will disappear. They deal little damage and take only one hit to kill. And what do you know, they drop presumably the single shield that they took away from you, which turns out to be the only resource you regenerate! Why are they in the game to begin with? Their inclusion only takes up space and builds the threat for big guys! Look, man, at least the Nazi variations are noticeable as they explode when they are hit, which Hellboy does need to get away from. Secondly, the upgrades that Hellboy receives in the Wyrd are lacking diversity. Only a handful of upgrades exist in the entire game. More often than not, in each run of the game, you will retrieve all of them. Whatever. I can excuse boring environments, they're the backdrop anyway. And gameplay loops can be negated. See every single JRPG in existence. However, what doesn't and can't is the gameplay. Unfortunately, I have to report that the biggest offender of the game is Hellboy himself. He controls like a demon possessed my controller. And I can't say that's entirely inaccurate. Look, man, take a glance at Hellboy and it is clear that in designing the game with him in mind, he is bulky, he has a stone hand, his personality is a laid-back nonchalantness. And what do you get when you take all those components and make him a playable character? A sluggish, almost unresponsive character. A character that does not fit a roguelike style of game. It doesn't take a genius to realize that Hellboy is not a rogue. He doesn't look fast, and he's not a nimble person that dashes and can even outmaneuver his opponents. Hellboy is someone that gets nice and dirty in the meat of it. He gets into fistfights and can outpunch his opponent and can, well, take punches. All to say is that this game portrays a biblically accurate Hellboy, and it turns out putting him in a roguelike is not the best option. I don't think it's controversial to say roguelikes are meant for rogues. Swift-paced movements and sharp reactions. When the playable character is unable to fulfill that, then sure, let's have a slower roguelike. But as it turns out, it ends up exposing the flaws you've effectively attempted to run a marathon in the body of a baby! So what did these devs end up doing? They went ahead and slowed the pace down to fit Hellboy, sure. And the result is watching Rockford! After going through this gauntlet, I am convinced that no amount of editing can make this game look interesting. I'm so sorry I failed all of you, but it speaks for itself.